General Secretary Gorbachev. When you stop to think that we're all God's children, wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
So welcome to The Bigger Picture with me, Nick, and my co-host, Sid. Welcome, Sid.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Just woke up early morning, foggy outside. So
You're in a UAP hotspot, right? Canada is being invaded.
yeah, but to be honest, I'm going out every night for hours on a long walk just so I can see one UAP. But I don't know why they don't appear in front of me. But yeah, I'm not losing hope. I'm going every night outside. It's a good spot too because there are a lot of mountains as well. So probably one day I will catch something, but let's see.
So we decided to do this show, Project Bluebeam. We've been talking about it in many of our episodes, but just we just reference it, but we've never talked about it explicitly.
Yeah.
But since last week, the sightings exploded, and you got a lot of crazy stuff going on in the US.
Even exploding is not the right word because it's crazy. I don't think we saw that what we saw in last 2 weeks is more than what we saw in last 50 years.
Yeah. So let's look at a little bit of these sightings first.
Okay.
To give people
Let's
an idea.
go.
So I just collected a couple of these from Twitter or X. So this one. A very special. It's basically a light in the sky or light in the sky.
Yeah, it could be just a light, right? I don't know if this is a UAP. It could be just a moon.
Yeah, but for example, in Britain, in the UK, they also had sightings.
Oh no, I'm not talking about other sighting. There are so many. I'm just talking about specific this video.
Yeah.
But there are like some legitimate
Oh yeah,
side videos out there.
Yeah, I got this one. This is basically the
an RAF felt well in Norfolk after the drones were sighted overnight. The UK authorities are working to ensure the safety of the sites. A quote from the US Air Forces in Europe. They say, I can confirm the situation's ongoing. Our units continue to monitor the airspace and are working with host nation authorities and mission partners to ensure the safety of base personnel, facilities and assets. To safeguard operational security, we do not discuss specific...
Well, anyway, that one is sort of a news item on the incursions. Mm-hmm. But the one that I actually found most convincing was this one. That I'm gonna pull it up right now, which was basically like a ball.
Oh, this one, yeah. Okay, this one is so crazy because I initially thought somebody just rendered it in 3D software.
Yeah.
This clip is, if you look at the original photos, oh my god, this is crazy. This is like a ball, like a sphere UFO, which has been sighted since the beginning of time.
Yeah. By the way, your microphone is a little bit off, Sid.
Oh, is it better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So somebody did a 3D rendering of what it might look like, and this is what we came up with, which is very interesting.
Yeah, but I don't even know if it's the real style because the resolution of the photo was very bad. So you can just create something, but I don't know if it is. Because all the lines you're seeing on that, it could be a resolution effect. It could be a way more perfect sphere.
Yeah, here you could him coming from the sky. the pilot's windscreen.
Yeah.
And somebody actually also did a checkup on sort of the reality of the photo, sort of the authenticity of the photos.
Oh, they are authentic. They have been verified by many people.
Yeah. So this thread over here, he does a very extensive forensic research uh, of the object, and he concludes based on everything that he does that it's like a real thing and a real object, and yeah, he can't explain it. Well, we'll link that all down below. And
Yeah.
of course, one of the famous things that is sort of connected to this, besides Arrow using an orb in their logo, is of course the Vatican has these orbs outside of their. Uh,
Whenever you have a problem, Vatican come to the rescue, right? They always have something going on, something crazy.
yeah, and then of course we're gonna talk about UAP religions too, so and how it's connected
Yeah.
to religion. Because one of the things that I had no idea about was that Project Bluebeam actually also is very much about religion. I had no idea about that.
Oh, this is more about for me. I don't. We'll talk in details, but it's more religious to me than the fake alien invasion.
Yeah, well, and then it's very interesting to look into the connections between religion and UAPs.
And what is happening right now, right this second? This is way more important. We'll talk about that. What is happening right now in the world?
And this one you sent to me, this is actually on Google Earth.
This
So
Okay, this one is I verified it myself. I went to
yeah.
the coordinates because the coordinates are mentioned over there, and I saw this. This is so crazy.
Yeah, so if you go to Google Earth on these coordinates, and we'll also link this one down below in the video, I actually checked it also, so I can verify it too. And a friend of mine who couldn't believe it actually checked it too, and also verified it. So this is actually an authentic
Yeah.
UFO captured on
Yeah,
Google Earth.
also you don't even have to take our word. There are coordinates given.
Yeah,
Just go type these and you will see it. In the comments somebody said it's a cable car, like a lift chair. Are you insane?
yeah,
Because lift chair, there is a lift chair going on, but not here, it's on the other side. And those cars are not like anything like that. This is a whole different thing. This is more like a tic tac, right?
yeah, yeah. Classic Tic Tic UAP.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's so probably this will be two shows because I got so amazing much information that I'm gonna share, and that I probably won't be able to do that. But we're sort of gonna break down what Project Bluebeam is all about for those people who don't know it. Actually, most of my research has been based on the Y files, which I can highly recommend you check out. They're a lot of fun, and they're actually also quite critical, and they have a great community. So
That's why I like them, because they come from both perspective. One from the believer, and then in the end they come with like you can't say debunking, but like critical way, and find the flaws in the theory. So that's why I like that channel very much.
So yeah, let's dive in Project Bluebeam. I actually had a slide setup. I don't often use slides, but huh?
Listen, listen. We need to talk about New Jersey stuff.
New Jersey stuff. Okay, go. What is
Because no, because the biggest sighting of the UFOs are happening in Jersey, and it's not happening in one. It didn't happen one time like in UK, because all these UK sighting are happen during 1 or 2 days, and nothing over there. In New Jersey, it's happening every day,
Oh wow. Okay.
and they are drones basically. And FBI is investigating it. What I'm just surprised that every fucking night these drones are coming over New Jersey, and Air Force is not doing anything for some reason. FBI is investigating it. Everybody knows something is happening. Nobody cares. So that will tie it up to Project Bluebeam, because if UAPs are coming over the main city, including the house of Donald Trump, they
Yeah,
came,
yeah. I heard that one. Yeah.
and nobody is doing anything, which means they are from someone they know, or they know something about those UAPs and they are not saying it, which will tie it up to the New World Order
And
project Blueprint.
I also you also sent the one. I'm just sort of browsing through our DM where we always share that kind of stuff, uh, because we're still talking about it anyway. So the FBI was also getting involved in the
Oh,
investigation.
FBI is already involved in. Oh yeah, these one, right? Let's play this.
Okay, wait. Yes, here we go.
Very large, right? And all those lights in the sky that you see there, see those lights? Those are apparently drones as well, they say, seeming to fly in a V formation, with the whole saga stressing people out nearby.
We're all completely unnerved. I didn't sleep last night. When I would get up and look out my window at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., they were still hovering. I got up at 5:30 this morning and they were still there. As the sun was starting to rise, they went back in the same direction they came from. And I expect they'll be back as soon as the sun goes down tonight.
Let's bring in Tom Winter. What's up with the mysterious drones, Tom?
Right, Allie. Well, not to go all Scully and Mulder on us here.
Do it.
Law enforcement is concerned about this. They have put out a statement, the local sheriff's office and local prosecutor's office in Morris County. So
I won't play the whole thing because don't want to get
Copyright
into
issue,
problems.
yeah.
But yeah, FBI is getting involved. You send me a lot of stuff from New Jersey, so I guess it's located over there mostly.
Also, why on earth they are doing it on New Jersey? Even humans try not to go to New Jersey. Why aliens are going there? It's crazy. But
And we
the
also
main
actually
point-
had first. Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, go on. No, go on.
No, I was saying New Jersey, these sightings are non-stop, and FBI, when FBI investigating, why can't they trace the origin of it, and why can't they trace, like, why can't they stop it? Because when the balloon thing happened, remember, the whole U.S. Air Force was involved, and it was just a balloon. These are actual drones, and nobody is doing anything. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and then there's a lot of stuff. I'll link more of
Also, it is super easy to track drones because your radar systems are designed for that,
True.
to track drones, especially near the military and nuclear sites, which are very close to New Jersey.
I also got this one, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm at the same time I'm browsing through all the information because there's so much. This one was from Christopher Mellon, who's like very high up in DoD or in intelligence, I think. Anyway, this was
Can you share anything yet about how you guys are detecting or countering them?
Again, I don't want to get into the specifics in terms of tactics, techniques, and procedures as it relates to force protection. Certainly, we have a variety of means at our disposal, and we will protect our personnel and our facilities. But, again, just to kind of put this into context, even here in the United States, right? If there are drones that are being flown by hobbyists or some other entity, you want to make sure that you're doing due diligence not only to protect yourself and the safety of others, but also using appropriate measures in order to.
this guy is such,
He think everyone is a fool. He's saying by hobbyist, you think they are hobbyist drones. First of all, they are super big. Secondly, when a hobbyist fly a drone, those drones are already tracked because it's pre-built in on them.
Yeah, and
They are not those drones, because have you flown any drone? I have. So when you open an app, it's already connected to the satellite and it is already showing your location. It's also telling you which is the right place to flew and where is the flight. So just saying, oh, we are flying that, that's so stupid, and it's just like insult to our intelligence and also yours, because you are like army guy, you should know better.
Yeah, and this is a map of the UK where they closed the air space in order to sort of sort this out, because it was over US air bases or military bases in the UK that these things were sighted. And that's also why some people think it's like adversary technology, like China or Russia. Also because of the tensions at the moment with Russia and the Ukraine and of course Taiwan and all those other places.
It's dumb if you think they are Chinese, because okay, let's take their argument. a drone from China or Russia fly all over the ocean, enters US soil, stay there for weeks. First of all, who is charging the battery? Because drones cannot fly that far. They need high power. Like a normal drone just die after 15-20 minutes. If they have like a super amazing technology and it can fly all over the ocean and enter and stay over there, somehow US radar system didn't pick anything, because it has a lot of time to track from Russia to US or China to US. It's like a long place. It's not one drone. There are like hundreds of drones, to be honest, what I'm seeing right now. And the argument is stupid. The only possibility is they have US military or someone in United States is making them and flying them. Because
Yeah, and of course they're also sited in Russia itself, so that's that also is
all over the world,
yeah.
not just Russia, UK. I think I've seen a lot of the videos from Middle East as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So that sort of takes care of that argument, and then Matthew Pine sort of ran through some possibilities, but they all don't really make sense, and that's why you and me are doing the show about Project Bluebeam. And before because we still haven't even talked about Project Bluebeam itself,
yeah,
but let's do one more thing and then sort of jump into it, and that's the it's not a prophecy. But Cliff High had I think he was one of the first who did used AI and algorithms to analyze language in
yeah,
large data sets, and he was one of the very first. And I think he also worked at IBM and Microsoft and all those big tech companies before he went independent. And this is what he said.
I have a really weird story. So this guy, his name is Cliff High. It was 1997. He developed this software program called WebBot. And what it would do, it would scan the entire internet, collect data. It would make predictions for the stock market. But then he delved into it a little more. It's just like, let's see what else it can predict. In 2009, it came up with a prediction of the future that there was going to be a battle in the air with the military and UFOs, and that even UFOs would be fighting UFOs.
Whoa.
But there had to be a trigger to
Set it in motion.
Yeah, set it in motion. It said that when this trigger happens, then 39 days later, this prediction will come true. Here's the crazy part. 2009. The trigger was Donald Trump would be interviewed by Joe Rogan.
Bro, no.
Nuh-uh.
No way, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, so he actually also predicted, but that was not that hard, that Donald Trump would be president like the first time, even though many people discounted that possibility.
Yeah.
But of course, it was way in advance, like years in advance. That he predicted.
Yeah, but the problem, the original problem I had with him, like, because he's using computer algorithm, and all algorithms need data. Like, you need to feed data into algorithm to predict something. So my original question was what data he is using to process and predicting that. So I was like, it's first of all, it was a stupid argument that alien will invade just exactly 39 days after Joe Rogan podcast. I don't think that is happening. Even if alien wanted to invade, this is not the right time. They would have invaded in 1950s when human technology was shit. Right now we can defend ourselves. At that time we couldn't. We had nothing. We didn't have missiles or anything. We had like old planes. So it was very easy for aliens to and it's not like aliens was not here. Aliens were here back in the day. Actually, the legend of aliens started from 1947 with the Roswell, New Mexico crash. So I don't think they're gonna invade. But what's happened, so originally I was very skeptic on that, but then I learned that okay, some remote viewer saw that, and then that's how that data they use. So it was like the data was from the remote viewers, and that explained everything. And the remote what data it was feed into that was like that remote viewer saw a dogfight between a human jet like RB jet, and a UFO. Just one event. There was no invasion in there. It was just a dogfight which was broadcasted all over the world, and everybody got aware of that. So it wasn't an invasion to begin with. It's just like they created the hype out of the story.
Well, I have done insufficient evidence of insufficient research to sort of deny or confirm what you just said. I do know Cliff High. I used to follow him for years before, but that's a long time ago. And I can't specifically remember that he made this prediction, but at some point he was making so much content, I sort of, switched off and I had other things to do. So I haven't really looked into it. And if Cliff is listening, or anybody who knows Cliff, reach out to him. We would love to have him on the show, and then he can explain how he did his research or how he created WebBot and what kind of data sets he used.
Also, 39 days was not like a fixed date. He said after 39 days. So it means it could be years after 39 days.
But I think I remember that he said, what I can remember from those times is that the WebBot uses sort of large language data sets of people talking on internet, and that these words that people use are emotionally charged. And because people have a psi ability in them, that the words that they use actually also help predict the future, even though they don't know it, or maybe they even create the future without they themselves knowing it.
Yeah.
And I am actually open to that idea. Pretty much after all the research that I've done, so that it's sort of the latent or unconscious psi abilities that people have, that they express without even knowing it in the language that they use on a daily basis, in the communications that they have. And if you have like large amounts of those, access to large amounts of those sets, that if you use a WebBot in a certain way, I'm not a programmer, so I this pure speculation on my part, that you might be able to predict the future. I have no idea.
No. It's not hard to create a predictive model. A lot of people have created that. But the only problem with that is like you need to have a data to process. If you don't have data, it's not going to predict anything.
Yeah, but I believe that he had access to huge amounts of data. But don't ask me how. I think he explained it in one or two of his videos.
I think invite him to come.
I would. Yeah, he's a very interesting fellow. He's very eccentric, slightly crazy.
I love crazies.
Yeah, he's and he's into Litecoin. So for the people who haven't watched the video with Phoenix Green, Gerald was on there representing Litecoin. We'll also link that one below. And who knows? Maybe Litecoin will surprise us. But let's get back to Project Bluebeam. So we're gonna talk about the goals. So the overarching goals of Project Bluebeam are to create a single world monetary system, one world government, and, which I found very surprising, a new age religion. And that last part is actually critical to Project Bluebeam, because the theory behind it is that you can't have one world government without at the same time having a religion behind it.
Yeah. Also, I will tell you how they're gonna do it with the religion.
Yeah.
I actually have created a model for it by looking at the recent events. So we'll talk about that in the end.
Yeah, and it was put forward by Serge Monast. He actually lived in Canada, in Quebec. He was an investigative journalist, and he wrote a book in 1994, if I'm not mistaken.
92, 94, around that time.
Yeah. So he stated in that book that the elite, or a shadowy elite, was working on a one world government, a new world order, so to speak, and that it was conceived during the Cold War, and that they kind of used that they already were developing, of course, mind control and psychic warfare with MK Ultra, which is from 1953, but that was using drugs and hypnosis. But that Project Bluebeam, which is actually under the control of NASA and under direction of the United Nations, won't use drugs and hypnosis, but actually advanced technology and psychological manipulation. Now, we are good friends with Graham de Penrose, who is an AI expert, and I don't want to get him involved into any of this. So these are actually my words, not his in any way. but he does research, or he does a lot of investigation in cognitive warfare. And cognitive warfare, or unrestricted warfare, as the Chinese call it, or fifth generation warfare, as Robert Malone calls it, is basically that every area of human interaction is basically a war zone, and that you actually don't fight physical wars, but you fight for the space in human, for the mind and the cognitive abilities, the perception, to control the perception of people and bombard them with, for example, disinformation, misinformation, or just an excess of information. But it's not just that; it's like on many different levels that this technology is being weaponized.
Yeah, I agree with everything except the part of NASA, because I don't think
Yeah.
NASA is that involved in that thing. I think people mistook NASA for very wrong reason. It's a space agency. They don't even have a lot of budget, to be honest. That's why SpaceX is doing more exploring of the world, not NASA. NASA is not involved in it. The real problem is deep state, shadow government, whatever you call it. Right? I will just call them they. Whoever, fill in the blank. Whoever you think. Yeah.
And I would also say not the United Nations. I think the people
Oh,
behind the United Nations, right? Because the United
no,
Nations,
UN is a useless organization. They do nothing, so they can't do anything. UN is just like a puppet.
Yeah.
Not even a puppet. It's just a useless organization. I don't think anybody is controlling that, because
I think it's not useless. It was sort of like a dress rehearsal, like something for people to follow. Whatever.
Okay, maybe just say it's a test run to see if everyone on the world can come on one table, and it was very successful because all the world just came in one room and start talking about it. So that was a test run, but it's not NASA, it's not the UN. It's just just figure out, fill in the blanks, because they are so secret you can't even name them. It's Illuminati, whatever you're gonna call it. It's just a secret hand behind.
And these are, of course, just words, right? The Illuminati, or what else? What you got? Many, the Bilderberg,
globalist,
Rockefellers, or the globalists, or whatever people want to use. So, what are their other goals? So the underlying goals, in order to achieve those first three objectives, is to abolish the nation state, abolish existing faith and religion, dissolve the family unit and create loyalty to the state, and of course destroy individual freedom and creativity. So these are sort of the main objectives that you need to achieve in order to achieve the first three objectives. So that is sort of in a nutshell what Project Bluebeam is about. And then now we're sort of gonna talk about the 4 stages that Project Bluebeam consists in, and why they sort of make sense in a crazy way. So the 4 stages of Project Bluebeam. Let's go. I've called it the upheaval. It's not the official name, but I liked it. It's about undermining and discrediting existing religions and religious narratives. So the idea behind here is that they're going to use technology in order to create earthquakes on certain specific religiously significant areas, so that new artifacts and new discoveries
also there is another thing which I will explain. What earthquake has to do with the prophecy. I'll come to that, but first of all, earthquake technology is real. They can do it, definitely. It has been tested multiple times.
Yeah, that's actually something that we haven't even touched upon, but I was saving it for our Antarctica episode, because they got some really interesting installations in Antarctica. And one of the devices that somebody who worked there claims that you can actually create huge earthquakes all around the world in very specific areas using what is it, electromagnetic waves or something. And that, for example, in what was it? I think it was, Japan was, some say, not completely natural, but I think also in New Zealand there was this earthquake which sort of came out of nowhere. and they link it back to this technology. Now, of course, this is extremely speculative, and I'm not an expert in this realm. But people like Ashton Forbes and others say that this sort of technology exists, and you can actually do way more than that. But anyway, the point of this whole exercise is to unearth artifacts, make new archaeological discoveries that discredit the existing narrative and shake the faith of the believers to such a
To
degree.
shake the faith, and they can easily do that with earthquakes, and I'll explain that a little more. But even if they don't find any artifacts, because artifacts won't change anything. To be honest, we have found so many
Yeah,
artifacts.
the Dead Sea Scrolls, for
Yeah,
example.
it didn't change anything. So I don't think they are counting on that. They're counting on something else. I will explain later. Anyway, so the point is to discredit religion, to abolish religion, old
Yeah.
religions. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just to I actually agree with you on that. But I think another way to sort of do this, and I think that's already happening, is for example the work that Graham Hancock does with his Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse, right? And him and a lot of other people are actually discovering a lot of stuff that is discrediting existing religions and existing narratives.
No, it is not. The point is, it's only affecting people who care about those things. But if you look at the majority of the world, I'm talking about 95% of the world population, they don't care.
Well,
They are stick to their own beliefs. And yeah, Graham Hancock's work affect us, but it doesn't affect anyone who is a believer, like the mass. Even they don't most of the people on earth don't even know who Graham Hancock is, let alone what he is doing on Netflix.
no, I agree with that, but
Yeah.
this is like a building up towards something,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah, for some
it
people.
always starts small.
Yeah, but one thing which was very impactful, it was like the Hitchin movement, Christopher Hitchin, Richard Dawkins, they
Mm.
literally destroyed religion
Yeah,
for a time being. It is coming back now, but
yeah.
at that time, if I remember 2015, 2016, they were like on top of everything and nobody could even defend their religion. So that worked really well. It changes after 2020. But until
But
2020, it was whole different story.
just this, like, let's go through one sort of hypothetical scenario, right? Let's say they create an earthquake with this exotic technology, and they unearth the Ark of the Covenant, or Noah's Ark, to name another ark, and it turns out that one of these items is not like a boat, or a thing that we sort of associate, but it's like a spacecraft.
Yeah, you know what will be the response from the religious community? That they won't believe it. Like, for example, we know for sure evolution exists, but the religious people still believe Earth is flat and God created Earth 6,000 years ago. I do believe God created Earth. I don't believe He created 6,000 years ago. But the problem is, like, no matter what you find, people won't change. They need something crazy, and I will tell you what.
Okay, well, anyway, let's move to the next one. So the space show. So the space show is actually what people most associate with Project Bluebeam. Now,
Yeah.
this image is actually not very good at.
Oh, it's a good image. I like it.
I like the image, but it's
Yeah.
actually about something completely different from what you're seeing here. So, what it is actually about is that they're going to use holographic images and sounds using very advanced technology and satellites all around the world, and create an image of a religious figure, which is specific to each location on Earth, using the language that they speak there and the deities that they believe in every specific spot, and then merge these religious figures into a new figure, which will then reveal to those people in their own language that they have been misguided, that the original message was perverted, that people should that the old religions have been used to make brother fight brother, a neighbor fight neighbor, a nation fight nation, and that if they follow these new rules that he or it is going to give them, all will be well. And of course, that is the new world order and the abolishment of the nation state and abolishment of the old religious systems, and probably also surrender of a certain amount of freedom to this new state of affairs. So what is your take there?
Okay, so I researched that part. I've read that part. So the flaw in that theory is the way they explain it. They will show Jesus in the Christian areas, and they will show Muhammad in the Muslim areas. The
Okay.
problem with this theory is Muslims, not people, just Muslims, never worship Muhammad, and they know that he will never appear on this earth again. Prophet Muhammad is not coming back. This is their final. So if they see s- Prophet Muhammad, for example, on the sky, they know it's not real. Because this is the basic misunderstanding of the religion and their God, like uh, God is the same, right? They are the same God, like Christian and Muslims. It's just different prophet. But according to Muslim, God cannot be seen on this earth
Mhm.
ever. It is impossible. He will never. You will. Some Muslims believe you will see it after death, but a lot of Muslims out there don't even believe that. They say God is unseen. They will never see the God. So it's like, so this thing could work on Christians, not on Muslims. If they show Muhammad on the sky, no Muslim will fall for it. Zero. So they have to tweak this, and they have to learn. I think they already did that. So that's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
they already learned, because
yeah,
back in the day the information was not available. So they were correlating it with Christianity. Now I think
yeah.
after deep research they have realized what is their weak point, and now they're gonna strike that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
this, yeah.
Yeah. No, just to, I mean, I completely agree with your, what you just said, because I've studied religion for a long time, and there's many good books in the West where they really have a fine grasp of Muslim theology and Muslim way of thinking, and everything that you said. Like for me, this is not anything new, but they could generate, like what you said in the DM, like the Mahdi, right? The return of the Mahdi.
Oh no,
Well,
the whole thing, but they cannot generate it. This is the whole story. I have like created a model how Project Bluebeam will affect that. But if they generate something on the sky, it won't work, because they believe in Hadith. Muslims, like in Quran or Hadith. So it's not, eschatology is not mentioned in Quran at all. It is mentioned on Hadith. In Hadith, there is no prediction that you will see an image on the, there is a prediction actually, you will see an image of Antichrist on the sky. So if they see an image who will pretending to be Jesus, God or prophet, they will know that this is Antichrist, not the real guy. So this was a huge mistake from on their part, but it was back in 90s. Now they have learned from it, and I can see that they have updated the plan. So this is it. Now I don't think they will do this. They will do a new thing,
yeah.
which will be according to uh, their hadith.
Well, to be honest, I also, well, let's move on to the next one, because we'll come back to this in a different way, but I actually fully agree with you. Okay, so the voice from within. I found this one very interesting. I had no idea about it.
This is,
So
I love this one. Let's go for it.
yeah,
First, explain it. Yeah.
I did my research. I had no idea about Project Bluebeam, but this is all from his book, from Serge Marnas. So the voice from within, as I call it, is in order to convince world populations about the truth of this message, it must be revealed from within themselves in order to generate true conviction and belief. Something that Robert Cialdini also says with commitment and consistency. How? Well, the voice or message of the false god or antichrist will be beamed or transmitted directly into the minds of believers and unbelievers alike, as if it comes from within themselves. And I sort of, said, like, what is then necessary? You would need some kind of wireless brain-machine interface where not the brain is interacting with the machine, but the machine is interacting with the brain. A technology that can bypass critical awareness and simulate and present itself as a conscious organic experience. So this is like very exotic stuff. And
Yeah.
you would have, of course, need highly advanced microwave technologies or electromagnetic technologies that we actually do have right now.
Yeah, but I don't think they will do that, because that's, again, people need to, like, we actually need to realize that when Serge Manas was writing it, he was using 90s technology.
True.
Technology has advanced drastically within last 20 years, or
Yep.
let alone years.
Well, actually, let's go into that, because I actually have also some clips. Let's put in a clip.
Yeah, let's play that first.
Okay, here we go.
Project Bluebeam would have to create weather events and man-made earthquakes. It would need to replace all the world's currencies with a single electronic currency. It would need to use holograms, augmented reality, and artificial intelligence. It would need a way to plant fake news stories and propaganda and distribute those to the masses directly, circumventing all news media and elected officials.
So that is, just to give people an idea about, and this is actually an older video. He actually updated a new video about Project Bluebeam because of the invasions. But we're now at phase 3 or stage 3, and I also want to play this clip, which sort of ties into that one. So this is directly from the book.
The third step in the Bluebeam project uses electronically augmented two-way communication, where ELF, VLF, and LF waves will reach each person from within his or her own mind, convincing each of them that their own God is speaking to them from the very depths of their own soul. Such rays from satellites are fed from the memories of computers that have stored massive data about every human on Earth and their languages. The rays will then interlace with their natural thinking to form what we call diffuse artificial thought. That kind of technology goes into the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s research where the human brain has been.
So that's basically all true, by the way. But, it's one thing to talk about it and another thing to realize it on a global scale. But, I want to play one more clip. This one.
All cell phones use microwaves. The frequencies are typically between 800 and 2200 megahertz. 5G operates between 28 and 39 gigahertz. Don't have a cell phone? Doesn't matter. Baby monitors, garage door openers, Bluetooth devices, the Wi-Fi in your home, all use radio waves. RFID tags, wireless earbuds, remote control toys, MRI machines, and yes, even microwave ovens. We are constantly swimming in
Well, anyway, just to give a little bit of credence to something like this, and of course, since then it has been only increasing, and the technology. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so you probably don't know that I literally wrote a TV show. It didn't go anywhere, but we made a TV pilot episode of that. That show was called Lucid.
Cool.
It was about a neural network of dreams. So there is a network going on, and the bad guys in that show was using dream world to transmit their messages into the people, and then make them do their bidding by just controlling their dreams. So, and it wasn't just like a theory, right? Because of my psychedelic experience, I am kind of aware of there is a network, a psychedelic world where all humans connect basically whenever they go to sleep, and I think dreams have something to do with that. And they basically hacked that system, and they were using that thing to transmit. And I think it is way more possible and convenient to do it that way, that just control their mind through dreams instead of transmitting microwaves. Because I don't know if you can, because human body is different like everybody, so it's not gonna work well. But dreams for everyone is the safe bet, so they're gonna use dreams. Yeah.
So we're jumping a little bit ahead, but it's fine, because I actually was also thinking along similar lines. But I want to sort of present the way that Monas presented his theory.
Just giving my theory. Let's continue with
we're also gonna discredit him a little bit because there's also some other stuff that we. But yeah, I actually agree more with this theory, and we also touched upon it like last time when we talked about simulation theory, and you had this idea which was basically very similar to what you just told, and I had this idea which was also very similar to to this idea, which was based on Donald Hoffman, which Jesse Mitchell's just talked about, and that we basically live in a simulated reality, not in the sense that we live in a computer in a matrix. That our brains are just very limited devices, and that reality is infinitely complex, and that we need to filter out as much of reality as possible in order to survive and operate. And we're basically swimming in a sea of stuff that we have no idea about, right? So if there's a predator which has a larger brain, now brain is not the right word, but larger capacities in these areas, then we would be perhaps easy prey, because we can simply not even see them, or they can manipulate our brain. But anyway, I want to play this clip because Diana Pasolka, who we're also going to talk about, had this one.
Every time my wife leaves this friend's house, she says the same.
That, and I was looking at it, I was like, wow. And then I looked at the other bookshelf, and that bookshelf was just as impressive. And then it was about fallen angels. He said, oh, this one's about fallen angels. And then he made a joke, and he said, you can't have one without the other. And I thought that was really interesting.
That does seem to align with what we're talking about, with like the struggle of good and evil.
It does. That's what he said too. And I was actually shocked at that point. I was like, wow. So just, I'm a professor of religion, so I'm like, I'm right about, my intuition was somehow confirmed.
And by the way, I think this should be, I'm not sure if this is totally true, but I believe he was the inspiration for the French character in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was the wrong one. This is from Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's interview with Diana Pasolka. I think it's also from that one, but I probably opened the wrong one. Anyway, what she wrote in her second book, because that was actually the clip that I was trying to find, which is about encounters, or that's the title of the book. And then she says in that book that the Hidden College, which is a college of scientists which have modeled themselves on Francis Bacon's original Hidden College, but it includes people like Jacques Vallée, Hynek, and many others who are sort of hidden from the public view, but are actually working and very engaged in the UFO mystery. And they have rituals and protocols in order to get access to information, and that they use in order to develop technologies that they give to the world. And they say these protocols and rituals that they need in order to access the Noah sphere, which is around the world, sort of like an organic cosmic internet that you can log into if you know the rituals and the protocols. So these scientists are like Nobel Prize winning scientists, rocket scientists, microbiologists, like, the creme de la creme of the world, who don't say this openly, but she sort of let them speak, and she interviewed them for her book. And some of them have, of course, since then revealed who they are, and they are very successful people.
Yeah, back in the day, we used to call them magicians, who used to chant their, their magical words, and then they control it. So I think magic is connected to that network.
Yeah. So, but that sort of ties into what you just said, like, when we dream, we might actually sort of access that Noah sphere, the sort of cosmic organic internet that we can actually log into without us, fully knowing itself. And you can probably also do it, like you said, through magic or these sort of protocols.
Magic is basically a science which we don't understand. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I also agree. I also agree with that. Anyway, I probably can't find that clip anymore. So let's go to the next one, which is actually the one that most people associate with Project Bluebeam, and that is the crisis or disaster and the staged alien invasion, right? And then usually what happens is that people confuse stage 2 with stage 4.
Yeah.
Because they think the alien invasion is a hologram or not real, and that they use lasers in the skies in order to sort of generate an alien invasion. But actually, when you sort of go into the original theory, so it is a staged alien invasion that will induce fear in the general public and necessitate a unified global response by the United Nations. This will force people to surrender and forego their personal freedoms and liberties, and to give up their national and cultural identities in order to get safety. And how supposed alien incursions will occur in major cities around the world and will be interpreted as an imminent invasion or threat, and induce governments to react and lash out in fear with their nuclear weapons. In the chaos and the fallout of this, many people will die, cities will be leveled, rule of law will be suspended, and the United Nations will be forced to step in, restore order, and demand nuclear disarmament and a one world government. So what is necessary to make this happen, according to Search, is a technology to make an alien invasion seem credible, either by fakery, and then, of course, nowadays, reverse engineered alien technology would also help, or I added help of non-human intelligence. So, what do you think? Are you still there, Sid? I think you turned off your microphone.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking, but I forgot.
Yeah,
Because when you speak, I mute the mic. Anyway, so I was saying that alien invasion will be the cherry on the top. It won't be the whole thing, because they cannot control the whole world with just alien invasion. They want us to kill each other so much that 50% of the earth is killed by each other, and then they will just send limit, because they have a limited amount of alien ships. Then they will just send, that will be the last straw. Government or the remaining survivors will jump in, and then they will defeat them, and then finally UN will make one world order.
Yeah,
That's my thing. Like, that will be the cherry on top. But yeah, hologram thing, if you just see UFOs on fight, even if you see UFOs fighting on the sky, nobody gonna care. That's what I'm saying. So they have to do real world invasion.
Yeah,
And they have the technology, because all the UFOs which we are seeing right now, before I used to believe they were aliens, but I think now I'm more inclined towards uh, the humans making these to create the alien invasion, to create the illusion of alien invasion.
So, with the drone incursions right now, that are going on. Well, you already dismissed Russia and China, or adversaries. So you think it's like a rogue element within the deep state, and the deep state doesn't have to be the US, of course. It can be a global deep state.
It is a global.
Yeah, like
it's
James
not global,
Bond. Like the James Bond. What is it, Spectre?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Spectre.
Spectre, yeah. It was Spectre, yeah.
So you're thinking along those lines, and
look, all the governments are part of one thing, because what I always say, what you see, president of any country, including United States, they are the actual pawns and the puppets. There is a shadow government, a shadow hand, which is controlling everything. So they place someone when they want to place someone. When they are not convenient, they remove it, and then they bring them back, like Trump. He wasn't needed in 2020, so they have saved him for 2024, which is good, because he put our Bitcoin up. At the end of the day, that matters the most. But yeah, they brought Biden in because he have done so much for deep state that you can't even imagine. Now Trump will come, and Trump doesn't even need to know that. He will just do it because he is emotional and insane. Trump is really insane. He just decide on the spot and do something, and that's where he make some mistake. Or there is a possibility that he is controlled. I don't trust anyone. Secondly, look, let's go to what's happening in Syria right now.
Yeah.
Bashar al-Assad, was way more weaker back in 2023. They didn't want to remove him, so they didn't remove him. And when they needed him to go, they just got rid of him in 1 week without any resistance. When Bashar al-Assad is way more powerful. This is what I'm saying. When they want to play their move, they do it because they just move. They know how to play chess and they know when to make the right move, and that's how it works. So all the governments are involved. That's why UFOs are flying all over the world and nobody's doing anything. And I just sent you a new just video on that there is an activity of a lot of helicopters on US right now. It's a 2 hour ago, like somebody posted 2 hours ago, and a lot of helicopters are flying over US because of the UAP activity.
I'm gonna open it right now.
Maybe we will see a dogfight very soon. It's just like a video of a lot of helicopters. Whenever they're flying, it means usually they don't fly like that over US, over the cities.
There's something going on.
Yeah, there must be something going on because when they do that, they either so they don't want to create a panic. Whenever you see a huge activity on the sky, unannounced, there could be an announced activity, but this one is unannounced. So when there is unannounced activity, there is something going on, and
But
we'll see something.
so I do have then a question for you because that's a little bit where I then disagree, or at least I see it maybe a little bit more hopeful. Do you actually think that the deep state is like one entity, like that they're all in unison and all in harmony, and that they all sort of strive the same mission?
It's not one entity. It's bunch of different powerful groups who are controlling. Initially, I think they were fighting back in the days when different gods were fighting each other. I'm talking 4 or 5. It's an old organization. It's not new. Their childrens are taking over, but this is there for a very long time. But now I think they joined hand and they are working in alliance. That's what I believe. It's not one entity.
Okay, but you do think that they're working in unison right now? That they're
Deep state, yes. There is an opposite faction of that too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's basically what I'm trying to get at, right? There's an opposite faction which is also very powerful.
Yeah.
And also has connections within the deep state, because otherwise they would already be dead.
Yeah.
And they're pushing towards something else.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are opposite faction, but when I say deep state, I mean those Project Bluebeam guys. There is a opposite faction. I don't even know if they are good guys, but people call them good guys. I don't call them good guys. I don't trust them. Yeah, they could have their own thing, but yeah, there is like a power struggle going on still.
Yeah.
But one factor is powerful than other, which is like the project deep state one, not the other one. It is strong, but it's not like the most powerful. Right now, the upper hand is of deep state. That's what I think.
And you got people like Stephen Greer, who's also very connected, and he did. We talked about it last time, and he sort of mentioned that there would be a data dump by insiders. Yeah. And actually, I have been seeing quite some evidence from different channels that there was a data dump, and one of these channels was this one. This person, I don't know the channel, but I think he's pretty big, and he did a lot of videos. I think maybe 12 even, something like that, where he got photos and material from a source, which of course he can't mention, but it sounds quite credible, and the pictures are quite remarkable. This is, for example, the chandelier, the famous chandelier UAP that we heard about, but this is the first time that they actually see it.
Like what? There's just something that looks yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. Now I want to go back to the cruciform one, and I want to go back to how we were originally relating it to the Nuremberg incident. If you guys are familiar with that, this happened in 1561. and it's a woodcut. And in the woodcut, this dude, I mean, this is what he says, but basically all this stuff happened in the sky. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because the image that we have here is a cruciform. It's like just a cross. And so I wanted to see if there's any sort of like connections we could make here.
So I won't play the whole video, but I can highly recommend the entire series. I have seen a couple of them, and this guy is really doing research, and apparently, sources are reaching out to him. But within this video, he sort of is going back to the Nuremberg image that you also made an artwork about.
Yeah, you want to show it?
And in that image, you see orbs and
Yeah.
cruciforms fighting each other. Well, Dolan always dismissed it because he sort of interpreted that back then you had sort of these religious wars. The Protestants were, and so he thought like, okay, this is just some person who's using sort of the religious context to make a point about politics at that time. But apparently, you have cases where fighter jets encounter these different kind of UAPs, but also there are cases where the crosses are actually fighting the orbs in the sky. There are reports about that. So there are different types.
Okay. Yeah, I want to just talk about like people just find one thing and they don't look everything. 5 years later, similar event happened in Basel. I sent you the link. Open that one.
Okay. But the point is,
Orbs.
these UAPs don't like each other.
Orbs were fighting over Basel. It's not about cross. People were seeing cross. I don't think they were cross. I think what I not not just by looking at the image. Look at this image. It's very similar to that. So in the description of that, they said there were two different type of spheres armies. One was red, one was black.
That's the same with the crosses. The crosses were blood red.
Right. Yeah, and they were fighting, and then later on they just disappeared. Same thing I used in my drawing too. Like I used like red and uh, black fighting each other, and then I have like silver UFOs, which are neutrals, which are just there to document the stuff.
Yeah.
Rendition. But I'm just saying, it's 15 Nuremberg event was not just one of. There was one as well, just 5 years later in the same area. To be honest, like it is a different city, but if you look at from the cosmic perspective, it's just like very close.
Yeah,
Basel.
and of course orbs. We've talked many times about orbs, and orbs come in many shapes. No, not
Yeah.
many shapes, but many sizes and different colors and different ways.
And this one was way different than the Nuremberg work because there were less witnesses of Nuremberg. This happened right over the city. So there were so many witnesses. Everybody in the city saw this war.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you see the same type of sun.
Yeah.
Like with the sun dog. So I think what happened, the network sometimes, the Noah network we were talking about.
Mhm.
I think there is also another network or part of it that try to hide these things. But sometimes
Yeah,
when the
glitch.
battle is happening, the glitch happen, and then you
Yeah.
witness that.
Yeah, because the sun in the background is also in the first one, and basically what they say about the sun in the background is that there's like a light that appears in the sky, and then these things suddenly are there.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why they symbolize it or portray it as a sun, but it's basically a bright light in the sky, and then maybe a fissure opens up in the sky, and we
Yeah.
get a glimpse of a different reality.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
scientists recently discovered the tunnel. You know the tunnel? If not, we will talk about in the next one. You need so scientists. It's like they discovered a tunnel which is connecting our sun to the outside of the solar system. It was like a tunnel kind of a thing. So I think I sent it to you, but we'll discuss it later and probably in the next one. So there is like a expressway there, just close to our Earth, which makes sense. Like why so many UFOs are coming towards Earth, because and a lot of people back in the day used to say that there is an expressway near the sun. and scientists found something related to that. But again, going back to the UFO thing, I think they are the glitches when, and the more people are getting higher conscious, which we are thinking, which I'm thinking that a lot of people are waking up. Before, like 99.999% were sleeping, now only 99% are sleeping. 1% have woken up. So the more you are waking up, the more you are witnessing, because it's hard to control for that network, because
Yeah.
now you start seeing more and more, because it is glitching more because the network load is more.
Yeah, and I think also, and maybe that has to do, with the state of the planets, or where you are in the solar system, or maybe something, another outside force, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But my idea has been a little bit sort of inspired by David Icke, and David Icke sort of says, like, that there's this group that is projecting their consciousness upon us,
Mhm.
and that we are sort of trapped in that, in their broadcasting.
Yeah.
And that's also what I sort of meant with sort of the interruption with the BBC broadcasting system, that you probably have other entities and other forces that are trying to break through their broadcasting in order to sort of reach us, right? So maybe they are trying to find the weakest link or the weakest spot in that sort of broadcasting system that we are trapped in, right? Sort of.
Yeah, like the movie They Live.
Which one?
They Live.
Oh, They Live. Yeah. A little bit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do sort of like this idea.
Yeah, I think there is some credibility to. I personally, I really like David Icke. He actually, it's not like, I don't think he's correct about everything, but he's a human, right? People
Yeah.
can be incorrect, but he give you give you a thought, and that start something in your brain, that you start questioning it, and that's very important. That he is trying to wake people up, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and then we have established right now that there is that some people in their brain, that their brain is better adapted to sort of witnessing these things for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and that other people, and that it is especially like the frontal cortex, like the critical thinking area, that is actually blocking our perception of this broader reality. So it's actually our more advanced brain that is actually holding us back in some ways.
Yeah.
But that there is a way in order for them to work in unison, as they did for a while. But that because we have been so much relying on our prefrontal cortex and suppressing our lower cortexes, that we're actually less susceptible to all these things and seeing all these things than we would usually be. But so you said, so what you're saying is, like, first we need war and chaos between nations and a breakdown of international order and rule of law, and that's what we are seeing right now. That nations
Yeah.
are fighting each
Okay.
other.
Okay. Let me start with that. Okay. So how you gonna create the war? That's the most important thing. So the original idea to their main goal is to abolish religion, the
Mhm.
old religions, and start a new one. How will they do it? Because they will make you lose faith on that. How they gonna do it? Their original plan was to show holograms and merge. That's not gonna work. They realized that, they updated it. So what they did research on the eschatology of Islam, not the Christianity, because they already knew about the Christianity.
Mhm.
Islamic eschatology was different. So now they are playing that game, which I can see with the current events. So in the Islamic eschatology, there is a figure
Mhm.
called Mahdi. There is a movie of that too, Dune. It's inspired by that.
Mhm.
Like the original book was inspired by that story. So Mahdi is like a real figure of Islam who will come in the end to guide Muslims.
Mhm.
There is also a figure called Antichrist, and they also have a Christ. But so what's going to happen originally, like if you go detail, like Antichrist will try to fool and make everyone believe that, uh, everyone to fool, and then Muslims will have Mahdi who will reunite all Muslims, go to Syria to fight his first nemesis, which is going to be a person or a group called Sufyani.
Mhm. Understood.
Sufyan is the name mentioned,
Mhm.
which I'll tell you why it is important. Uh, and they will fight them. They will defeat them in Syria,
Mhm.
and then Jesus Christ will come and join them in Syria, and then they will go and defeat the Antichrist in Jerusalem. So there are numerous hadiths. So the problem is like how people will identify who is Mahdi. So the their things are like hadiths are mentioned that one of his nemesis in Syria will be a Sufyani. Second is there will be a fight
Mhm.
between the kings of Saudi Arabia. So understand that the word was mentioned king, not the caliph. And for 14 or 1300 years of history, they never had a king, they had a caliph. So
Mhm.
first time this kingdom
Follower
of
of Moses.
Saudi Arabia is the kingdom.
Yeah.
Before that it was caliphate. So caliphate and kingdom are different. So there is a thing that the king of of the Arabia will die, and there will be a problem between the brothers and the childrens of that king, who is going to be the next king. They will fight. During that time there will be a civil war in Arabia, and the men run from Medina, the city of Medina, to Mecca in
Mhm.
the holy mosque, and there he will become the Mahdi. And when he become a Mahdi, a Sufyani leader in Syria will send his army
Mhm.
to fight the Mahdi, because and that army will be hit by a massive earthquake, and the earth will swallow them. So this is where the earthquake will come in, and then he will go and then he will defeat Syrian and those things. So now the idea is they realized it. They already remove Alawite. Okay, so in Islamic history there is a big fight between two groups. Shia Sunni is like a sub is like the second version of it. The original fight was between Ali and Umayyad Caliphate. There was a Umayyad Caliphate before all of them. So there was a fight. So the Bashar al-Assad called himself an Alawite Caliphate, Alawite king, Alawite kingdom, whatever you want to call them. So the opposite of Alawite in every discussion is going to be a Sufyani or Umayyad. Umayyad, basically Sufyan was the leader of Umayyads. So what we see now, Alawite have been dethroned and Sufyanis have taken over. So now one thing is in place. And I don't think it's like the natural one. I think somebody is doing that to him. The next move is going to be the King Salman is going to die because he is really old.
Mhm.
And after that, there is a problem of successor because MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, the young guy who's a very liberal guy, he is not the legitimate leader. He
Mhm.
is not the next in line. What he did, he overthrows his uncles
Yeah.
and become the crown prince. I and everybody knows that that's not how their children don't become king. It has to be a brother, if as long as the brother is alive. So what's going to happen when this King Salman dies? There will be a rebellion from the brothers,
Mhm.
and they already seen it in Syria. It worked. So rebellion will come. There will be a civil war between two of those factions. During that time, they will send a guy who will call himself Mehdi. They don't even have to, because in the eschatology he'd never even claim himself to be a Mahdi. Other people will. So this is very much more easier. They can claim anyone to be a Mahdi, other agents. And
Mhm.
then when Sufyani leader king of Syria will see that, he will send the army, and the army, when they reach near Arab, like there is a desert. The name of the desert is also mentioned. By the way, there is desert everywhere. They will be swallowed by earth through an earthquake. We know that technology exists. And then he will take that. And this is a whole Middle East you're talking. If you're talking about
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia to Syria, everyone will be fighting. Israel will be jumping in. US will be, because US is so many bases in there. Millions of people will be dying during that war. People will start losing faith because we are following the anointed one, Mehdi of the God, and
Mhm.
he's just making everyone kill each other. And then eventually they will defeat Sufyani. They have to. Otherwise, this won't work. And then they will send a fake Jesus that will unite Christians as well with
The
Muslims.
rapture. Yeah.
Yeah, I think rapture is very hard to fake because but they will, if they send Jesus in Syria, which is evangelicals actually believe that Jesus will come in Syria, so all of the Christians will be a part of that, and now they will fight the Antichrist. I think what's going to happen at that time, it will turn out that all of them just were faking, and that's when human spirit will lose, because they fought, they killed millions, and they turned out it was just a fake story. Or Mahdi will, or Jesus will defeat it, and the Dark Lord will become the king. And
No,
that's
you know, it's interesting that you say that last part about, you know, that they will find out that it will be fake, because that was actually also part of Blue Book, Blue
yeah,
Beam.
exactly. So this is what I'm saying. It's not that they will follow each and every step by the book, and in the end, when they reach to the nexus of it, when everybody is hopeful, they will show their true face, that no, they are not even the real Mahdi or Jesus. They are the fake ones, and that's when everybody stop believing in religion.
Yeah.
And then the cherry on top, at that time alien invasion will happen. Majority of the people have died already. This will include India and Pakistan as well, because if Mahdi war is happening, Pakistan and India will be fighting, because a lot of Muslims are there too.
And China and Russia?
China and Russia, I don't know, man. It depends. Yeah, Russia will be, because the main, when Jesus, fake Jesus or real Jesus, I don't think real Jesus, but the fake Jesus will come, Russia will jump in, because they are Christians.
Well,
And
so
there are a lot of prophecies for them too, and they are working towards that, right? So this could happen. US will be there, because they will be marching towards Jerusalem. Jerusalem is in Israel. US will be drafting people to go and fight, so it will be a mess.
yeah, sounds
And
like
then when everything is defeated and everybody lost their mind, that's when alien invasion happened. And then one leader will rise up who will say, abolish all religion, they just brought nothing to us but misery. And the Mahdi you were waiting for was just a liar. Jesus you were waiting for was just a liar, and that brought nothing. Let's just abolish religion, let's defeat these aliens. They will unite under one religion, and that's how Project Bluebeam work. This is a hypothesis. I don't know if they will be successful, but I think this will happen, something along those lines.
And what would be then your time span for something like this to happen, to play
I
out?
think next 20 years.
20 years. So
Yeah, okay. 2030, I think, is the time. But
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think I'm talking not about the real Jesus, because
Yeah.
only God knows that hour.
Yeah.
Because what I think, when they will abolish everything and then Project Blue Beam win, I think then real Mahdi and real Jesus will come after that. I do believe the second coming of Jesus, but I think what happened first, it'll be a Project Blue Beam, which is actually mentioned in as an antichrist in Bible. I think Jesus did exist and he will return. Or maybe I don't know. But what I'm talking about, Project Bluebeam, I think this is gonna happen around 2030, when there is like a big solar eclipse in Jerusalem. That's also a prophecy
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
a solar eclipse in Jerusalem. So this is expected on 2030. In 2030 that will happen. So I think that is the ideal time to do it. But before that, there is like a 7 years of turbulence they want to create. And I think we enter turbulence period
Oh
already.
yeah. We we certainly have. Okay, a couple of things. First of all, do you think any of these drones that we're seeing right now that are recorded are non-human orbs? Like actually,
Yeah. I definitely believe that there are yeah.
Also, right now,
Not the drones, the UAPs, not the New Jersey one, because I don't believe any of them are real. But then the UK one, that sphere thing, that looks like a actual UAP, non-human intelligence. Because what I think, there is a non-human intelligent who is just here to witness stuff, to witness events.
Yeah, and there are multiple, right? I mean,
There are multiple.
yeah.
So even in my drawing, which of that Nuremberg event, there are two factions are fighting, and
Yeah.
then there's like a third party which I
Yeah.
saw as a silver saucers. They are just there to witness, and
Yeah.
I
So
believe there are some witnessing going on. So I think
and
there are some non-human intelligence out there.
yeah, and then I recommend everybody to watch that video that I sent earlier. You know, he did a lot of them. I haven't seen all of them, but the source in that because he also shows sort of the conversation that he had with the source. You know, the questions that he asked and the answers that he got back. You know, so you can sort of see how how credible you think it is. But that source also specifies that you have different groups. And also different kind of crafts. So you got the chandelier, but you also got the crosses and the orbs and the boomerangs, and you got of course the classic spheres or the cylindrical and the tic-tocs, right? You got many different kind of shapes of these craft. But to come back to Project Bluebeam. So in the original story, so we're gonna wrap it up because we're way over time. But so in the original one, the idea is that these nations will start firing nuclear weapons at each other and then sort of destroy cities, and sort of in the mayhem because they're firing nuclear weapons at the aliens, right? At the UAPs, in order to defeat them, because that's the strongest weapon that we have. And then at the end of that, the story is, as he tells it, that the United Nations somehow discovers that the invasion is fake, and he sort of says, yeah, because they faked it themselves, they can sort of reveal that it wasn't true. And that's I found it a really sort of strange sort of twist to the story, because I think that would discredit themselves, and and I think nobody would want to believe in the one world government. So there are some really strange twists and turns in the story. And I also had, when I first sort of went into it, I also found it curious, the connection between religion and UAPs, right? Because the first three steps, or the first three stages of Project Bluebeam, are about religion, right? So the earthquakes, the holograms, and the voice within. Those three are specifically aimed at believers and religions, and of course he states you need like a new age religion. And then suddenly you got the UAP. So what the hell what's the connection there? Yeah. Well, and then apparently there's a lot of connections there, right? Because, well, like we already stated, like the Nuremberg fight, but you also have, for example, the work of Graham Hancock, but also Diana Pasolka, Timothy Alberino, Richard
Paul
Dolan.
Schneider.
Yeah, you got actually a lot of people right now who are linking religion with the UAP phenomenon. And
sorry, I said Phil Schneider. I said Paul Schneider. I mean Phil Schneider.
Phil
I said,
Schneider.
the clip. We will end with that because that's a very good line to end.
Yeah. Well, anyway, okay. So we'll save some of it for the next time. So I want to wrap it up by saying two things. Well, probably one thing. So, two things. Okay. The first thing is, of course, about Serge Monest. So we're going to end with Serge Monest. So Serge Monest says he claimed he was being watched and followed. In 1996, his two homeschooled children were taken away from him by the state, and he never saw them again. Mm-hmm. And then later that same year, he was arrested for spreading misinformation by the Canadian government, was put in jail, and the day after he was released, he died of a heart attack at the age of 51, even though he was in perfect health because he was, tested earlier. So that is sort of gives credence to his story, because many whistleblowers die of heart attacks. But the other side is that he was also a big Star Trek fan, and he references Star Trek often in Project Bluebeam. And a few months before he released the book, there was another book about, I think, the maker of Star Trek. And in that book, there was a scenario that was called The God Thing, and that is basically the plot of Project Bluebeam. That episode was never released, but later on it was, I think, released in a different way on Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it was, I've called The Devil's Due, if I remember correctly. And that's, where an alien entity tries to convince the world that she's a god through holograms and technology. And so so of course it could be that they either
No, so I do understand. I don't think Serge Manas created that. I think his book was inspired by already available ideas at that time. So,
apparently, yeah.
so because look, there are so many other books which have predicted the same things about the world. Like, for example, there are 18th century books which predicted World War II, World War One, World War Two, and World War Three. Exactly how it is happening. The first one will be Ottomans and Germans fighting those things. Second one will be Germans, where they will kill Jews, and then Jews will become power. In the end, the third one will be between Muslims and Jews. This was
Yeah,
written
and
in 18th century.
and then you also have I think that one wasn't that one discredited, or did
No, it was, look. It doesn't matter if it was discredited, but the document existed in 18th century. That is proven.
Okay. Well, okay.
And this is not just one. There are so many other things. Like, what about the manifesto of that organization which says we can't let human population more than 50 million and stuff? Remember?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so it's not even the part of uh, Project Blue Book. Project Blue Book is just like a small window into the big plan.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of these stories, and then people have to do their own research, and this is of course also a lot of speculation on our part, and there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation and
Yeah,
contradiction.
also Bible. Forget these theories which are 200, 300 years ago. Bible said that 2000 years ago there will be a time of great deception, and
Yeah.
Antichrist will come and fool you all. And this is what I'm thinking. And their goal will be to reduce the population.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to get at. Like, the depopulation agenda is,
Yeah.
I think.
So even if you discredit 18th century document, you cannot discredit 2000-year-old Bible or 1400-year-old Quran, because like there are a lot of historical events which, like prediction, mentioned in Islamic traditions too, which are similar but different from Christianity, which are like a different window into the same picture. So you can't just say that, okay, Project Blue Book was inspired by uh, Star Wars. There is a possibility that Star Wars is uh, inspired by the same idea, because idea also exists in the same world. They got the same information from the single source. For example, Star Wars and Dune, they both are from the same source. They are different stories which looks very similar, but they are similar because they got the stories from the same source, which is from Isaac Asimov books.
And then even if they aren't, right, you are influenced by the culture that you operate in.
Exactly.
And if people have like a rudimentary or a more advanced psi ability, some people have a natural talent, because it's kind of like sports, right? Some people are just good at sports. So that's the same thing that they discovered with psi abilities, that some people are just natural talents, and even if they don't do anything, they already have high levels of it.
Also, I'll tell you one more phenomena. Sometimes you have a new amazing idea which doesn't exist right now, and you are the first one to think of it. You don't do anything about it. 1 month later or 1 year later, you saw that idea came out. Like, for a lot of the time that happened with me with apps. I think of the app, okay, that's new, that could be amazing, but I don't act upon it. A year later, I see someone else develop and launch that app. What is happening over here? Yeah, because those ideas exist. It's like I tapped into it, someone else also tapped into that idea.
The most
This
famous
is
famous example of that is the calculus, when Leibniz and Newton basically both developed it at the same time, regardless or independent of each other.
This I think have to do with Noah's network. The network is around it, and we all go in the sleep and connect we
And-
basically connect to that network,
Yeah,
and that's where we got the ideas.
And to be honest, right, most scientists and most Nobel Prize winners, they basically also say, like, I went to sleep and I got the answer to the problem, right? I studied very hard and then I went to sleep at some point and then it came to me and then I missed the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. So yeah, actually, and then I think creative people are generally speaking more open-minded. The creativity
We
and
have a
open-minded.
muse, right?
Yeah,
we call it muse.
yeah, the muses. Yeah,
Yeah.
the inspired. They are inspired. So maybe they do tap into this sort of collective consciousness or noosphere that's around us, and that allows them to see the future or glimpse the future, and that they also influence each other in certain ways. So yeah, I do actually, I do believe that. Yeah. So I think we have to wrap it up. I actually got way more. We really haven't. Well, we touched upon religion, of course, but there's actually more there that I wanted to talk
So
about.
probably next episode we will cover, and I think by the next week we will have way more sighting. Probably we'll see a dogfight between UFO and a fighter jet.
Yeah, and hopefully no nuclear war.
I don't think they will use nukes. I don't
think so either.
Because Project Blue Beam was the time between the Cold War, and
Yeah.
that was, they were very afraid of the nuclear war. I don't think it's useful to do it. I think
And
the
they have
way I
better
explained
weapons.
it, that won't do anything. That won't change people's mind. If you want to abolish the religion, you have to destroy the spirit of it. You have to make sure that prophecy is fake. So you need to show that.
In the next episode, we'll dive into the link between UAPs and religion and explain why the first 3 steps are about religion and the 4th step is about UAPs, because that's something that I want to talk about.
Okay, we'll do that.
This was a really engaging discussion. I learned a lot of new stuff, and I hope everybody also learned a lot of new stuff. If you want to join the conversation, reach out to me or to Sid, and maybe you'll be in the episode next time. And till then, we will say goodbye and see you later.
See ya. Bye.